This is the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach 1, and it's powered by a 5-liter V8 engine, pushing out over 480 horsepower. Now, the one in behind me has a few things that are a little bit unique to it. It's got the Recaro seats on the inside, and it's got the Mach 1 appearance package on the outside, which means that we've got a slightly unique look. We've got this beautiful fighter jet gray, as well as a couple decals along the front and the side there as well. Steve here, Cars with Steve, and before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Marigold Ford for giving me access to this vehicle to shoot the video for you today. Check down in the description below to find their contact details. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of a giveaway, so somewhere in this video I've hidden a $10 Amazon gift card. You're the first one to find it and claim it, and it's yours. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, think about sharing it with your social networks and subscribing. But guys, let's dive into it, have a little bit of fun, and see what the new Mach 1 has to offer. Starting off with some exterior styling. Now, the Mach 1 has these absolutely stunning machine gray rims. We've got Michelin Total Sport S performance tires on there as well. Now, one thing that's unique about the Mach 1 is that it does have the GT Performance Pack in there as well. So the Performance Pack gives us a number of different things. We've got these Brembo brake pads. They also do have 6-piston calipers, which this is a rear-wheel drive car, but with those 6-piston calipers, it's also got different springs in it. It helps with our overall performance. Now, this thing does also have the MagneRide damping system as a default. Now, that's a huge upgrade to the actual suspension system, because MagneRide, what that does, it's essentially magnetic particles inside of the actual suspension system itself. So while you're driving, it's a nice, smooth, comfortable ride, but as you go to quickly turn left, right, etc., it's going to stiffen those particles up to prevent that body roll. As we start to move forward, we've got these beautiful LED headlamps. Moving forward a little bit more, we've got a stunning look inside of the vehicle itself. With this splitter along the bottom, one of the benefits of that splitter is it creates a little bit more downforce, which is going to improve your overall handling of the vehicle as well. And we've got a beautiful pony badge in the front there. Now, one thing you may not be able to see too well is the actual upgraded radiator, and that's going to be part of that performance package inside of the Mustang, so it helps keep things a little bit cooler, which is again going to help improve the overall performance of the vehicle. Taking a peek at the key fob of the vehicle. So along the back there, as you can see, we do have our beautiful pony badge. Flipping to the front, we've got our unlock and our lock button, our trunk release, our horn or panic alarm button, as well as our emergency access key, so we can easily gain access to the vehicle if we need to. Now, this one does not have the remote start, and the reason why is because this is a 6-speed manual transmission, and the manual and remote start definitely do not go hand in hand. Now, having said that, when we look at the 10-speed automatic transmission instead, we would have remote start directly on the key fob as well. Taking a peek underneath the hood of the vehicle. So this is the 5-liter V8 Coyote engine. Now, a few things about this vehicle. It's tuned slightly differently than the engine that you'd find inside of the traditional GT, which means that it's going to push out a little bit more horsepower. From a power perspective, this thing is going to be able to push out 480 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. So plenty of power when it comes down to it. We've got easy access to some fluids. We can easily check our oil. And then we've also got this beautiful Mach 1 strut tower brace there as well. I think the overall setup inside of this thing looks absolutely beautiful. As we move to the back of the vehicle, so we've got absolutely stunning taillights, and we do have sequential lighting in the taillights there as well. Beautiful Mach 1 badge along the outside. Now, this is a quad-tip exhaust setup as well, and it does have the active valve performance exhaust, which is going to change the way that the exhaust sounds. So we've got 4 different modes. We've got a quiet, normal, sport, and a track mode, and you can also start this thing up so that it's in quiet mode as well. So if you don't want to bug the neighbors, you got kids sleeping, whatever the case may be, you can set it up for certain times as well. Let's actually see how that system works. So that sound is absolutely beautiful, but we've got beautiful moldings along the side there as well. Now, this fighter jet gray color, at first, I wasn't in love with it, but the more and more I see it, it does look really, really sharp. Now, in order to get into the trunk of the vehicle, we've got a couple different ways we can do it. So if we look in the key fob, we do have a trunk release on the fob itself, so we can double press that button in order to be able to get inside the trunk. Now, having said that, there also is a button just underneath. So right where our rear license plate would sit, there's a button right underneath. So we press that button, that's gonna pop this thing open. Let's have a peek inside. All right, so cargo dimensions for the vehicle are going to be showing up. So we actually do have quite a little bit of space inside of the vehicle. Now, the seats themselves for that second row are foldable. So we've got that 50-50 split, so 50 driver, 50% passenger. So we can fold down one side or the other if we need to. Now, as we start to move inside, so starting off on the left-hand side, so we don't have too much stuff in the back here, just a lot of storage space. Underneath, as you can see there, we do have our tire inflator kit, and that is going to be standard inside of the Mach 1. We do not have the option for the mini spare tire whatsoever inside of this vehicle from the factory. Now, having said that, if you did want a mini spare tire, you could absolutely look at an aftermarket solution instead. Now, when it comes down to filling up fuel inside of the Mach 1, so just along our driver's side, as you can see, we've got a little cutout with a capless system. When it comes into the actual fuel quality, I recommend 91 octane. And the reason why, when we look at the horsepower and the torque specs that we were given there, that's achieved using a premium fuel. Do you need to use a 91? Technically, no. Minimum manufacturer's recommendation is a lower quality. But having said that, this is a performance vehicle. So you want to make sure that you're putting in that higher quality octane fuel. And one of the big reasons why is that engine knocking. When we use a lower quality fuel in a higher performance vehicle, you might get that engine knocking noise. So at the end of the day, I do recommend at least an 89, ideally a 91 octane inside of this vehicle. Now, taking a peek along our driver's side door, so we do have intelligent access, press to lock, slide our hand in order to be able to unlock the vehicle. As we hop inside, we've got our unlock and our lock buttons, our basics for our window control, and then we've got a little storage space, and that's going to be along the driver and the passenger door. Now, looking just to the left-hand side, so as you can see there, we've got a little scuff plate with that Mach 1 badge, so it looks really, really sharp. Now, the Mustang technically does have a second row, but here's the thing. We fold that seat down in order to get into the second row, and with that passenger seat and the driver's seat set up for somebody who's 6 feet tall, it's gonna be extremely challenging to get people back there. Like, you're gonna have to move the seats forward, so depending on how tall you are, you may not be able to get people back there whatsoever. Now, as we hop inside the vehicle, so a lot of things to point out here. So first and foremost, we've got this absolutely beautiful steering wheel. I love the look of this thing. So we've got the pony badge right in the middle. We've got our basic 4 volume control there. We've got basic cruise control. Off to the right-hand side, so we do have our basics to figure out what's going on with the actual cluster screen, so we can go up and down between different options there as we go. Moving down a bit more, we do actually, off to the side I should say there, so we do have our voice command prompt. So that voice command prompt is going to give us the flexibility of using our voice in order to change songs, radio stations, things like that. Down a bit more, we do have our navigation button, so we can go to previously saved addresses and etc. Now, one of the nice things is that the actual directions that we need to turn will actually show up on this screen. We've got our basics for settings, which we've got a lot of different settings that are available there. So some basics for driver assistance. We've got our blind spot system, so it lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. We can see that highlighting orange there. So that's going to be a standard safety feature inside of the vehicle. We can turn that one on or off. It does have the pre-collision system as well. So if the vehicle senses a potential collision, it's actively going to brake, but we can also delete that one if we wanted to. We've got our hill start assist, lane keeping system, wipers, and a number of other options there. Now, one of the nice things is that this vehicle does have the pony mode. So we've got a lot of different flexibility when it comes down to actually customizing the screen itself. So we jump into my mode, we can show the status of the vehicle there, so what's currently going on. Moving back into our pony, we've got our exhaust mode, and that's where we would go in order to be able to change out the sound of the exhaust. So we've got our quiet, normal, sport, track, etc. Now, one of the nice things is that this thing does have the active valve exhaust system, and we do have the flexibility of using certain systems, like we can do an aftermarket Borla exhaust installation as well, and that will work in conjunction with the active valve system. Moving back, we've also got some other track apps, so our acceleration timer, braking performance, line lock, and a few other things. We've got our performance shift indicator, so we can figure out what our shift point is. We can easily set that, and we can have a tone to go there as well, and we can also give it a mode. We've got our launch control system. So the launch control system, we can turn that one on or off, and then we've also got our rev match. So as we go to gear down, it's going to rev up a little bit for us as well. Gauges, so we can show some different gauges there if we wanted to. Hopping back inside to our gauges, we can configure the way that the gauge looks. So we can have our air ratio, we can have our oil temperature, cylinder head temperature, and a number of other things. So if we throw some of these gauges on there, let's go back for a second and show the gauges. So as you can see, we can set what gauges are actually showing up inside of this cluster screen. So it's kind of nice because if you've got some preferences, we can easily set that up. We can configure the gauges again, and moving back, we've got my color. And this is where we're gonna go in order to be able to set different colors for the vehicle. So as you can see there, it changes between the red, we've got gray, green, etc. And that's going to change the different lines there. You can select certain colors and things like that. We can also change the cluster appearance. So as we go into different drive modes, it's going to change. So as we flip between different drive modes, let's take a peek. So we've got our sport mode, we've got our normal mode, we've got our sport mode, which again changes that cluster out. Moving again up to our track mode, that's going to change the look of it. And then we've got one more mode, and that's going to be our drag strip. So drag strip mode, so as you can see, everything's going to do something slightly different. And we do have the flexibility of customizing the color. And if you have a preference, you can have this mode permanently be locked out to one of the other options. So if you have a preference in having that sport mode show up instead as a default, you can permanently lock it out to the sport mode as well. So lots of flexibility when it comes down to it. Just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, we can either decrease or increase the brightness of that cluster screen, and we can figure out what's going on with our running lamps. Moving down a tiny little bit, we've got a button press in order to be able to open up the trunk, and then we've also got a little storage compartment there if we want to store sunglasses, things like that. Click it to lock it back into place. Now in the 2021 Mustang, Ford actually did include the Co-Pilot 360 package across the entire vehicle lineup. What that means is we've got our blind spot system, there's a backup camera, and then there also is that lane keeping system. So lane keeping and lane centering. So it can actually nudge us in order to bring us back into our lane. And then the second way that it works is it'll give us a little bit of a steering wheel shake, almost as if you're running over rumbled pavements. That is pretty dang cool when it comes down to it. Now one thing to note, there is a little button just on our left turning stick there, and we can easily turn that system on or off if it really drives you nuts. Along the other side, we do have the basics in order to control what's going on with our windshield wipers. Now, as we get into the actual dash, so we've got a beautiful aluminum look to this thing, unique to the Mach 1, with the Mach 1 M2660 chassis badge just along the dash there as well. Now, as we move forward, because this thing technically does have the GT Performance package, we've got our gauges along the middle. So we've got our oil pressure gauge as well as our vacuum gauge. So really great look when it comes down to it. Now moving down the center stack a little bit, we've got Ford's 8-inch media screen. Now this is the Sync 3 media screen that's been on the Mustang for the past few years. Now the screen itself is great, it's very user-friendly and intuitive. It does have support for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So you could technically use your phone if you wanted to use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze, things like that, but we do have the option of using factory navigation as well. So that's really, really nice. Now one other thing is that Ford's got a system called Ford Pass Connect, and that's an app that you're going to download on your cell phone, whether that's for Android or iPhone devices. What that system's going to let you do is, if your vehicle supported remote start, you could do that, but this Mach 1 with this 6-speed transmission does not support remote start. And we wouldn't want to remote start it anyways. You accidentally leave it in gear and it's going to create all sorts of chaos. With that Ford Pass modem, what that's going to do is, if you've got a data-only plan through your cell phone provider, you can use the vehicle as a hotspot for up to 10 devices. Now, I know you're probably going to be able to get 4 people maximum in here, but at the same time, if you wanted to use your vehicle as a hotspot on the go, work, whatever the case may be, you've got the flexibility to be able to do that. As we start to move down the center stack a little bit, we've got our volume rocker and we've got our tuning rocker. Now the tuning rocker, honestly, like we could adjust this way, a little bit old school if we wanted to do that, but your best bet is honestly just to use that button on the steering wheel, because we can use our voice if we wanted to make phone calls, if we wanted to change radio stations and things like that. Moving down a little bit, we've got some basics for our climate control, and a couple things to note. We do have dual zone climate control, so different for the driver passenger seat. Now, one thing to note, this thing has the Recaro seats in it, which, don't get me wrong, are incredibly comfortable seats when it comes down to it. But one thing to note is that it comes with a little bit of a caveat. So yes, it is super comfortable, but we don't have heated or cooled front seats. So driving it in the mid-summer time with that ebony black, it is going to get a little bit toasty in here. But we do have that dual zone climate control as well, so we can really cool things down if we want to. Just knowing that with these Recaro seats, you're not gonna have heated or ventilated seats whatsoever. Now moving down a tiny little bit more, we've got our engine start-stop button. So even though we're 6-speed, we are push-button start. Obviously, just make sure that you've got your foot on the clutch before you start. And then we've got our toggle switches. So the first toggle switch is going to be for our 4-way blinkers. Next one is going to be for our traction control. We can turn that one on or off. We've got 3 different steering wheel modes. We've got our normal, comfort, and our sport mode. And then we've got a series of different drive modes as well. So lots of different options when it comes down to it. And each mode is going to do something different. Like when you're in the sport steering mode, what that's going to do is tighten things up a little bit more to give you a little bit more of a response. Moving down, we do have our USB port as well as a traditional 12-volt port there as well. Now down a bit more, we've got 2 different transmission choices when it comes down to the Mach 1. This specific one is the 6-speed, and then there also is the option for the 10-speed automatic. Now one of the nice things about this 6-speed is that it is the Tremec 6-speed system, which incredibly rated compared to the regular GT, which has the GetRag D4. Now moving down a tiny little bit more, we do have our cup holders, and they do support the ambient lighting. We do have a little armrest that's got a few things inside of this as well. So we've got another USB port as well as another 12-volt power point inside of the back there as well. As we start to move up overhead, we do have an auto-dimming rear view mirror. We've got our cabin control lighting. This thing does have home link, so if you've got a garage door opener at home, we can easily program the code in there as well. Flipping this down, we do have a vanity mirror that does have lights, and then we can extend this thing out a tiny little bit more if we need to block some sun. So really nice look all around, and I do think that Ford did a good job on that Mach 1, bringing it back to life. All right, well folks, that was a look at the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach 1. What did you think? I love the look of this. The styling, color choice, I may go with something slightly different if it was up to me, but this is a very unique build. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below and let me know. And until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe.